And I'd love to think about, okay, if we've sketched out how it's the differences between men and women that cause the tension, how do you actually get to the point where it's the differences between men and women that causes the delight? What would it look like if we understood this and played with how we communicate? And before we do that, there's a couple of caveats I always want to throw out. One is, I've no idea where each of you are coming from. Obviously, I do a lot of work with couples, and I would say there's sort of three different works to be done. One is enrichment, where do you know what, things are going pretty well, and you'd like them to go better, and that should be true in any walk of life. Of whatever it is you do in life, would you not love to do it just a little bit better? And marriage, by definition, is one of those things that can very easily just plateau. And so it's great to take moments like this just to do an enrichment where it's not that there's massive problems, but wouldn't it be better, wouldn't it be amazing if our marriage got a little bit better every year rather than plateaued? And generally, days like this are enrichment days where things are going well. There's a level below that where actually there are real deep struggles. And normally, if there's real deep struggles, you wouldn't have made it this far in the seminar. You would have started fighting and walked out. Okay, and that's where extra help is needed, and that's where I do a lot of the counselling, where you actually got to sit down and do some real work to figure out this has snowballed for a long time. We got to roll this back and try and start again. But then there are other marriages that are just ugly. And actually trying to get someone out of that marriage is so hard, because the abuse that has happened is so has stripped the person so much of their self that they have become a prisoner in the marriage and they don't even know it. And if you've ever known or worked with folk in that situations, it would break your heart. And for folk in those situations, particularly if you're working with a wife who's married to an abusive husband, everything I've said here will be used to keep her prisoner. You should respect me. Okay? Now, often I do this over 2 or 3 days, and I wait until the third day to say that, because often a difficult husband will come for the first 2 days to check out what I'm saying and think, okay, safe, Colin's not going to expose me, he's saying why I should respect husbands, and he'll not come on the third day. And that's normally when I say it. And I can't tell you, well, when I say that, to look around. I can remember one conference where a lady came up afterwards and he said he was here the first 2 days. He didn't come today. It was heartbreaking. And what I want to say to her is, please do not respect your husband. Get out. Run for your life. And so I want to hear this. See, when you're talking about wisdom, it's not the same as law. Okay, wisdom has to be applied to different situations differently. And so if anyone is in that situation, please talk to Matthew or Gavin or talk to someone. But generally speaking, if you're married to someone who's a decent person, love and respect is huge. Another caveat I want to throw out is, well, is it always that for men it's respect and love, and for women it's love and respect? Gosh, no, not always. And sometimes there are things that can rejig that. Say, for example, if a young lad was growing up and the marriage splits up, his parents split up, and the mum was there, the split up happens, and then she just goes and doesn't come back. I guarantee you that young lad will be wondering, why was I not enough to keep her love? It's just what he'll think. It's not his fault. But unless someone talks him through that will eat at him. Why was I not enough to keep her love? Notice, it's not, why was it not enough that she would love me? Because there was a point where he felt loved by his mum. But if she then just disappears, it's specifically, why was I not enough to keep her love? So then say he marries a lovely lady and they love each other. What's his constant fear? When will she stop loving me? Because that's what people do. And actually, he will go through the whole marriage worrying and wondering, does she love me? Show me you love me. You got to keep... The fact that you showed me that you loved me last week is not enough for this week. And he will carry those scars. And what will be to the forefront for him, very much, is love. Picture a different scenario. Picture a lovely family. Let's say 4 kids. Let's say the dad is, your sort of rugby coach, coaches the local team, and the first 3 kids are all, tough boys, and then the 4th is lovely girl, right? And the dad knows how to deal with boys, and he pushes them, and those boys become machines, and they win every trophy that you could imagine for Scotland, and he's rooting for them. He turns up at their games, he's coaching them, and he just has pride glowing out of his eyes. And his 4th kid, the daughter, is his little princess. And he loves the socks off her. But he never pushes her. And she plays, basketball, and he doesn't really make it to her basketball matches because she's just lovely. She's his princess. But do you know what she never sees? She never sees the pride in a father's eyes that her brothers always see. She's just the princess. I want that look. How come they get it and I never? How come I won the basketball trophy at school and it's not up on the wall? And actually what she wants is, okay, fine, you love me, super, but do you respect me? Is there pride in your eyes with my achievements? And if that's her experience of life, then I'm telling you, respect is going to be to the forefront. That her husband loves her, super, but do you respect me? Because that's what I really want. And so please take this as broad brushstrokes. There are all sorts of reasons why it could be one or the other, and it's not as simple as, is it A or is it B? There's all sorts of shades of grey in this, and when we talk about broad brushstrokes, you have to keep them as broad. You might be reading this as a fella and totally identify with Sarah. You could be reading this as a lady and totally identify with Michael. Generally, it's the other way around. But generally is not the same as always. And if it isn't that way, it's even good to plunge into the deep waters of the heart to explore them. So what I'd love to do now is to think, okay, I can see the tensions. What about the delights? So if you're on page 9, there are some things I'd love us to explore. The building a positive culture rather than always trying to fix stuff. When do you seek and when do you hide? When do you speak? When do you not? And we'll play through some of these. So if you flick over to page 10 and page 11, what would be great is kind of this side of the room, okay? I'm going to get you talking again, and I'd love you to play with the Michael Sarah story. And this side, I'd love you to play with the hide-seek on page 10. So there's a time to seek out a problem and not hide from it, to kill the monster while it's small. You imagine a baby dragon. A baby dragon's going to grow up. And it'll be a lot easier to deal with the baby dragon when it's a baby than when it's an adult. Did you see there were baby dragons in Matthew and Sarah's story. And those baby dragons grew. And I'm telling you, see, trying to help them on year 10 compared to year 7 is a world apart. And you see in Proverbs the call to look ahead, pay attention, what's going around, fix the problems before they get away from you. And so from this side across, I'd love you at the bottom of page 10 to play with these two questions. How could Michael have dealt better with Sarah's depression? Could you see, the moment that happened, it was a baby dragon. 5 years later, that was 5 years worth of resentment that absolutely crippled their relationship. So how could Michael have dealt with the problem earlier while the problem was still an infant? Also, we clocked, that's not the only problem that was left unresolved. Michael actually wants to have sex with his wife, and it's off the table. How could he have talked to her while that problem was a baby? Before they got to, we haven't slept together for 5 years. So I'd love you guys to play with that one. From this side across, top of page 11, there's a time to be silent and not speak, knowing when to let things go. So if you guys are like, you should have spoken earlier, you should have got in there earlier, you guys are, it's time to shut up. You know, the wise person overlooks an insult. So you guys are saying, when should we have spoken earlier? You guys are saying, what are the things that we should have just left? And fools show their annoyance at once, but the prudent overlook an insult. A time to be silent and a time to speak. And I'd love you to play with two questions. Were there any things that Sarah could have just left? There are things that Sarah should have picked up on and didn't. There are things that Michael should have picked up on, didn't. Are there any things that should have just been left? But then the second question, why was it so hard to leave those little things? Is that okay? So could you take until 12, just bounce that around in whatever groups you're comfortable with. Time to seek out, time not to speak. Let's take a few minutes, go for it. This side of the room that's looking at how to seek out a monster when it's a baby. How do you slay the dragon when it's an infant rather than wait until it's full grown? Hide or seek, the prudency, danger, take refuge, the simple, keep going and pay the penalty. So start off with, how could Michael have dealt better with Sarah's depression? So you guys that we're looking at, give some thoughts. How could he have dealt better? Prioritize his time, yep. What did he do with his time? Just remind us, because he was constantly working, okay? So Sarah obviously has gone through some postnatal depression, and he's ended up working, okay?
Asked her how he could have helped her. What was she needing at that time?
He had just asked, yeah?
She might not have even known.
And this is so hard, right? She probably doesn't even know herself, let alone him knowing what she doesn't know. Yeah? Anyway, yeah, give us more thoughts.
Emotional communication.
Well, yes.
They just couldn't seem to get their heads together and talk things through.
Yep. What?
See things from each other's perspective.
They saw the same event totally different. Okay, push this. How did he see it? The postnatal depression. How did he see his part?
Problem that he could maybe fix.
Problem he could fix, yeah?
Yeah, basically it's something that's fixable.
Okay, so woman I love, she's struggling. I love her. I try and help. What happened when he tried to help? Okay, love her. I'm making it worse. What is his interpretation of him going to work?
I'm helping by making it
It's the best I can do. I've tried to kick this thing, and it's like kicking a hornet's nest. I'll stop kicking the hornet's nest. How can I love this woman? Well, the one thing I can do is make sure she doesn't have to worry about a bill in this house. Listen, I can do this. In his head, he's loving her the best way he knows. What's going on in her head?
He doesn't care, you know, he was there for me.
He doesn't listen.
He's selfish.
He doesn't care. What does he care about from her perspective? In her mind, this is the first mistress. He loves work more than he loves me. And did you hear when they were trying to buy the house what she said about his mistress? The thing that you love so much doesn't even pay enough to buy us a house. She resents not just him, but the one that she thinks trumped her. And she will treat his work as a mistress. When he comes home late, it's because he's been with the mistress. Long before there was a female mistress. That what she's thinking is wherever my husband was, he wasn't with me. He was with the thing he really loved. Did you hear that come out in the things that she said? When he's typing away on the emails, I know it's hard to get away from the thing you really love. Like, that's what? So clock that. He thinks, don't know how to fix this woman that I love. How can I help her? I'll make sure she never has to worry about this. I'll sort this. She thinks, unfaithful little rat, left me when I needed him most for the thing he really loved. Why did he do it? Now I want you to clock. It's less about what he did and more about why he did it. It is often less about what happens and more about why it happens. And the story that he's attached to it is, that was the best way I could love her. The story that she's attached to it is, he left me when I needed him. He'll do it again. So, what could Michael have done better if he was a wee bit more clued in to how he's made and how she's made? What could he have done better? Go ahead, yeah. Yeah. Is he ever going to be an emotional rock that will soothe her depression and walk her out of that storm? No, he's not. Well, maybe he could, but chances are he's not. Do you know what he could say?
Sorry, you're feeling further rubbish.
If I could take it for you, I would. I'd give my life for you. I don't know what to do, but I'm here for you. And you probably don't even know what you need either, but if you ever do know, I'm here. And I feel so helpless. If I could take it for you, I would. And listen, I don't want to help. Maybe me working over there is what's helpful. I don't know. But all I want you to know is I'm rooting for you. And whatever I can do, you just say. And I've tried a few things and I think I'm just making it worse. I don't want to make it worse. I don't know what to do. But I'm here for you. Like, he doesn't need the skill to walk her through it. He really just needs to know what he doesn't know. Because it's not that she needs a psychotherapist as a husband. She just needs to know she's loved. That's all she needs. There was one time I had at a big event on, the kids were young, and I said to Tanya, I need you back. I need you back at a certain time, take these kids. And the event was about to start. It was about to start in an hour, and she phoned me, and she said, Colin, I've got a flat tire. I said, no problem, change it. And there was silence. I was like, are you still there? And she said, yeah, I've never changed a tire. I'm like, what do you mean? You've been driving for 20 years, you've never changed a tire? How is this? And she goes, no, listen. I'm going to get back for you. I'm going to change the tire, right? Where is it? And then she said, where did I put the jet? Can I just put it anywhere under the car? No, you can't put it just anywhere. Just leave the tire. Just call the AA and they'll sort it for you. She's like, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. Now, imagine if she had just decided, I'm just going to go shopping and I'm going to be late for Colin. Would I be like, yeah, it's fine? When she finally got home after calling out the AA to change her tire, did I go, you're the worst wife in the world? Or did I go, sweetheart, we got to teach you how to change a tire? Because it matters more about the why than the what. Did she leave me hanging? Yeah! But not because she was being a mean, horrible person. Just because she doesn't have the skills to change the tire. And if she had tried to change the tire, she would have made it worse. But it matters why you're late, more than the fact that you're late. With Michael, it matters why he went to work, more than the fact that he went to work. If after that, he had sit down and like, sweetheart, I can see I've hurt you and I don't know why. And she's like, well, you left me. He'd be like, oh, sweetheart, I didn't think I was leaving you. I felt so helpless that I thought that was the only thing I could do. And she'd be, all right, that's why you left? Okay, you're clueless, but you're not a bad man. Actually, if you let me down, it's not because you don't love me, it's because you don't understand me. Well, let's understand each other. Actually, see if they had have dealt with that baby dragon. That dragon wouldn't have grown to become the monster of resentment it became. How did Sarah deal with the sexual tension? What'd she do? It was brought up and it was gone, dismissed. Now we can clock that the way that Michael treated Sarah was clueless. This was clueless from Sarah. You've just dismissed that as if it's a small thing. It's not. Now, we'll not push this one because after lunch we're going to go to sort of explore that one even more. So we'll shelve that one, but I want you to clock there was a baby dragon there that was allowed to grow. Other side of the group, a time to actually zip it and just let things go. Were there any things that Sarah could have just left? You guys, anything that she maybe just could have gone a wee bit easier on?
The estate agents.
The estate, yeah. Yeah, that was, she was hurt. She stuck the knife in. Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
When Michael was looking after the kids and there was chaos and mess, he should have let that go because he was doing a great job looking after the kids.
The kids, there's something going on there, isn't there? Good, yeah. Give us more thoughts on the kids.
Kids can become weapons.
Yeah. If the career is often his mistress. The kids are often the one that she falls in love with, to his exclusion. When you go back to Genesis 2, and it's not good for man to be alone, and he made a helper for him to work the ground and make a family together. Like we're supposed to be in this together. Not you just do the family and I just do the work, but even if we separate and do stuff, we're doing it together. That the career is not the mistress, it's our vocation as a family together. That the family is not for her, and yet there's going to be a division of labor, however that works. But together that should be the family's work in vocation and in the home, rather than pitting against each other. He did make Sarah's life hard with the kid. They missed the nap, made a mess of the place, and the eczema. If she was secure about the postnatal depression, if she knew this man loves me, she might be in a better place to deal with this. Say she was in a better place to deal with this. And she comes home, she just had an interview, and she walks in, and her work has just gone through the roof. How could she handle it?
Well, she presumes that he knows what to do with the children. But why would he know if he's always been at work?
Yeah.
Like, she only knows because she's been at home. And she's failed quietly at home when no one else can see.
No.
But he's failing in her view. He's done an effort. And right, it's rubbish effort.
Yeah.
But it's only rubbish compared to the expert. And she's
Okay.
only an expert because she's been there.
Love this, right? So take a few things. One, he has done a bad job, in some sense. But if you put her into his business, she'd have done a bad job. That in this division of labor, if Michael takes a day off, there is no chance. Even if he was wired exactly the same as her, he does not have the experience to take care of a kid and manage the home and worry about health issues. He doesn't have the experience. That's even if they were exactly the same. Put on top of that they're not exactly the same. We said husbands and wives are different. Do you know what else is different? Mums and dads. Okay? Don't expect your mum, the mother, to be a good father. Don't expect the father to be a good mother. Okay? Do you know what mums are really good at? Protecting kids from the big bad world. Do you know what dads are really, really good at? Preparing kids for the big bad world. I'm raising warriors. My wife's raising princesses. I said, I don't know what you're doing with those kids. She doesn't know what I'm doing. It's like, and when they're with my wife, they are so safe. And when they are with me, they are tough. Which is better? Both, but at different times. You see, when the kid is an infant, they really need mommy. They really need mommy to protect them. And I'd say first sort of 6, 7 years, you're in mommy's kingdom. The day my kids turn 7, you're in my kingdom. Life's going to change. We have a wood-burning stove, so we have to cut our own fire with chainsaws and axes, and we'll do a day's work. And they will be cut and bleeding by the end of it, and we sit down at the kitchen table with scalpels and we take out each other's splinters. And we are warriors. And when Tanya comes out, you have to go away, sweetheart, because you can't watch this. I'm making soldiers. And then, do you know what happens when they go to Granddad's house and they do a day's work and they outwork the men? Do you know what they've learned to do? They've learned when that grandma comes along, they've got to put their game face on. Because if they look tired, grandma will sweep them up and take them in and feed them with hot chocolate. And Granddad won't have his sticks cut. So put your game face on, cover up the bleeding, cover up the bruises. We'll deal with that when we get home. Do you know, I deal with a lot of kids with anxiety. And that happens for 100 reasons. Do you know one of the reasons? And I'll ask, just to get this one out of the way. One of the reasons, anxiety is amazing. Anxiety sees danger 3 fields away where it may not even be there and stops any possible hurt to the kid. Okay? But you allow the kid to grow up in that atmosphere for long enough, do you know what it starts to learn? It starts to learn the world is big and bad and I'm scared and I'm small. And I'm not able. And often a mum will come with their anxious kid and say, my kid's anxious, I don't know why. And eventually we'll get to, when did you bench your husband? Because I bet when that kid was an infant, he did it all wrong. And you told him he did it all wrong. And you benched him.
Benched him, what's that mean? Not
Put him on the sidelines.
Oh, I see.
And now the kid is growing up in mummy's kingdom her whole life. And she can protect from the whole world. What dads are really good at is preparing. And if you've benched that man when the kid was an infant, then when the kid is 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, and it hasn't learnt to fall down and pick itself back up again, it believes that the world is big and bad and scary and it's too small and weak. And it's scared of everything. Now, number one, Michael doesn't have the experience to juggle tidying a house, eczema, and keeping the kid alive. He doesn't have the experience. Number two, even if he did, he wouldn't do it that way. He's going to wind her up something shocking. But the very thing that winds her up is the very thing that kid will need in 10 years. And if you sideline him now, he won't be there. But the third thing is, but he can get a bit better. He can wise up. It's not rocket science. And the more he does it, the better he will get at it. But here's the way it works. See if Michael, the day that he took off, I reckon he'll do that 5 times. And if each time he's treated like an idiot, there won't be a 6th. And it's not that he decides, I'm not doing it anymore. He will go to the place where he's competent. And does Sarah need to bring stuff up with him? Yeah, come on, Michael, it's not rocket science, we can do this. But she's got to speak to him in a way that is, there's not something wrong with him. He doesn't have the experience. He's not wired the same way I am, but with a bit of encouragement, he can get better. It's not like we dads leave them for the first 7 years and then kick in. We had to keep them safe while the first 7 years. And now I would love you to imagine how Sarah could talk to him. That actually he feels respected. And she can appreciate, you're different from me. And do you know what? I can't wait. See when this kid's getting old, you're going to train them to be warriors. Do you know what? See, in the meantime, could we just get the cream on the skin? Like, pick one. Forget about the toys this time. Forget about the nap this time. Just pick the Expo one, maybe. Actually, just say at 4 o'clock. Tell you what, set a wee alarm at 4 o'clock. Just stick the cream on the skin, but this kid needs you. And you know, it's okay that you didn't get all this. I couldn't do what you're doing in work. He'll be back the next time. And then maybe next time you can go for, amazing, you got the extra thing. You know that whole nap thing? And here's the question. Does he come away feeling respected? But then from Michael's end, it's like, Michael, come on. Listen, you can learn how to do everything at work. If you put your mind to it, you could work out how this nap system works. Yes, you're never going to be a mummy, but you don't have to wreck the kid in the process. And wouldn't it be lovely if each took a bit of responsibility? Where actually Sarah was like, I'm gonna encourage this man because I need him. And I need him here. And yeah, maybe this is not his prime zone when the kid is 2. But this kid will need him when he's 8 and 9 and 10. Anybody want to fire any Any thoughts on that one? Go ahead, Matthew.
I was just going to make the observation. Our question was what things could Sarah have just left or whatever. Kind of on that vein of what you're saying, that she speaks with sarcasm. It's really irritating.
Yeah.
Thanks for finally gracing us with your presence. Unhelpful.
Totally. Asking for a friend, yeah? And it's a really good point of, can you hear like the bitterness in it? Like that tells you this is more than just being late. This tells you she's sick of coming second to the mistress. Now he doesn't hear it. All he hears is, this woman's mad. I was just late. Why the big deal? It is a big deal for her because it's a mistress. Which is why why is it so hard for her to leave things? Because every little thing he does raises another question mark. Does he really love me? Every time he's late, every time he doesn't listen about the eczema, every time he does something wrong is another question. Is this another example of the postnatal abandonment? And until she's confident that he loves her, she's going to see everything through those.
Just an observation there. Just talking about things that Sarah should have just kept quiet about. I think it's about timing as well. Because when she approaches Michael about the way that he was looking after the child, she, from what I read of it, she spoke to a friend of the child and told him what he's doing wrong. So even if she approached it the right way, she told him all the right things. There's a time and a place for doing it. It's not in front of your children. So even if she was trying to be supportive and telling him in a nice way what he could have done better, that's a conversation you're having apart from your kids, not in front of them.
Totally. And you imagine that kid growing up in that environment? She's making him Daddy Pig. Do you know Peppa Pig? Incompetent daddy. And I guarantee you, that's the last place he'll be. He will get busy at work.
I think he's getting a tough time. In his eyes, he took a day off work and sacrificed the business that he's trying to build to be there for the child.
Yeah.
When she walks in, they're giggling, they're happy, he's actively doing something. It's not kept in front of an iPad and him on his phone, he's actively doing something.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about how we are wired differently. We see a fuller picture than the 3 hours that he's babysitting. We see the next 8 hours of the day. And I think he didn't necessarily do a rubbish job, he just didn't do the job we would do
Yep.
or do on a daily basis without thinking,
Yep.
kind of thing. I think it's a bit of a hard time.
And remember where it's coming from. Of everything is filtered through, you left me when I needed you. And it's amazing that she cannot leave the small things because there's a baby dragon that's starting to breathe fire. And it is okay to say, he didn't do a great job. Like we want to be able to hold up our hands and say, I'm not that good at stuff. My wife cannot change the wheel of a car. She's still awesome. She can still look after 3 daughters but she can't, she's not that good with cars. It's okay to say the stuff I'm not good at.
I think it's significant that they're having fun.
Totally.
I mean, if the child had been yelling and he was just not knowing what to do,
Yeah.
that might have been different. But
Honest.
they're actually enjoying themselves.
And doesn't it break your heart that because Michael hasn't dealt with the stuff in the past, he's never going to win.
They both refer to the word to win. Yeah. At the bottom of page 3. You know, he's saying it's impossible for him to win the fight. But then she's going back and says it's actually easy to win this war. Yeah. You just got to stop thinking about yourself. I mean, it's almost like it's got to the point where, and I think it often does, who's going to win this debate?
Yeah.
Who's going to prove to the other person that I'm right and I'm wrong?
And push where that's come from. Because in her mind, she lost to his career. She lost. There was a competition and she lost.
Would it not have been helpful for him to get the first word in and ask how she got on in her interview?
Totally.
There's nothing there about that.
Totally. And I hope, and it is interesting sometimes, who your sympathy lies with. I think both these guys are lovely. And they're both hurting. And it is not one or the other's fault only. And in fact, so much of what they do is an attempt at kindness until the bitterness gets in. And it is so easy to vilify one of them. Actually, this was a lovely pair who ended up hurting each other. Unintentionally. Now, of course, there's sin and selfishness mixed in there as well, but the key thing that's coming in here is they tried to love each other, they tried to connect, and they drew further apart. I'd love us to take, could we do 5 minutes on the next two, the honey or the vinegar? So again, this side here, a time to encourage, not exasperate, how to inspire change rather than demand compliance. Gracious words are honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. So how could Sarah have talked to Michael about the household jobs? Remember, he was on the emails. She wanted help with the household jobs. How could Michael have talked about the bookkeeping? And then this side of the room, a time to understand instead of defend. How to de-escalate an aggressive confrontation. A hot-tempered person stirs up conflict, but the one who is patient calms a quarrel. How could Michael calm the quarrel when he walks in late to dinner again? Okay, so let's take 5 minutes. You guys, how could he calm? You guys, what would it look like to use honey rather than vinegar for the household jobs? Go for it. Okay, folks, if we pull those thoughts together, we're going to finish in 10 minutes for lunch. So I'd love to rattle through a few of these quickly so that our dinner does not get cold. If you look at page 11 and the honey or the vinegar, how could Sarah have talked to Michael about the household jobs? Let me just throw out a few thoughts because we're going to finish in 9 minutes. Do you remember he's doing the emails, she wants some help with, she's doing the dishes and the lunches, she wants, is it to bath the kids, is that what it was? Okay. And he says, yes, I'll do that in a minute, and she absolutely snaps at him. And she's just like, it's bad enough that I have to ask, I just want you to do it without asking, never mind, put it off until you've done your precious stuff, okay? Now, granted, she's looking at that through the eyes of a mistress, okay? If she was in a better place with her and Michael, and he's still being a lazy dose when it comes to bathing the kids, how could she use honey rather than vinegar? A gracious words are honeycomb, sweet to the soul, healing to the bones. How could she craft words that inspire him to do it? Now, one of the proverbs that runs through Proverbs with husbands and wives, better to live on the corner of a roof than... You know that one. There is something about being nagged that will eat a man's soul. Better to live in the desert And what it means is they will end up in the workplace rather than at home. If she wants something done, here's a top tip. If you want it done quickly and then he's gone, nag him. Because he will do anything for a quiet life with you. He will comply. But then he will come home later and later and later and later. Okay? If you want short-term compliance, nag him. It works a treat. But he's gone. Okay? If you want him to be the man that he could be and to actually make a difference in your home, inspire him. Okay? So imagine if she said, would you do the bathing? And he says, I've got a few meals. And she just zipped it for a second. And he spent a bit of time on his emails, and she did the lunches, and then he went up and bathed the kids. Imagine this, right? Imagine he's there in the bathroom doing it all wrong. Okay? Getting it in the eyes, and there's splashing everywhere, and he's making it, but he's doing it. Imagine if she stood in the doorway quietly. Then he turned around and said, I didn't know you were there. And she said, see watching you look after our kids? I find you very attractive. They will be the cleanest kids in the county, I'm telling you. He will bath those kids. He will come home early and bath those kids. The thought that something makes him attractive to his wife, he will repeat that. You nag him, you'll get compliance, and then he's gone. You inspire him, even though he's doing it wrong. And my goodness, honey will get more flies than vinegar. You want to bring change about in him, inspire him. Sing the praises of him. Respect him. And all of a sudden, he will be the man that he could be. You nag him, he's gone. It's riddled through Proverbs. He's gone. You inspire him, and he will come back like a boomerang. How could Michael have responded when Sarah came to Sarah when he came home late? Do you remember that he got lost in his work, and for the third time didn't phone home, and dinner's been missed, and he comes home and she's livid. I'm like, come on, Michael. Now remember, there's a reason why he's forgetting. He doesn't want to come home. But say things were better, and he's still a bit of a dose, and he does forget because he gets so into his work, and he gets lost in the moment, and he forgets. That's a real thing. Even when marriage is going well, that's a real thing. And he comes home, and she's livid, like she's a lioness ready to tear him. What could he do to take the fight out of that woman? What is it that she's asking? It's less about why are you late and more about, it's not about whether he's late, it's why are you late? Now, he's just defending himself and so goes off in a huff and withdraws. Imagine he comes in and she's a lioness. It's like, you're always late. Sick to death of this. Right? Imagine if he said, sweetie, I'm a dose. I forgot again. I'm sorry. I get into my work and I'm gone. Listen, we need to figure out how to fix that. I'm going to figure out how to fix that. But listen, do you know the best part of my day? Is when I walk in this door and I see you, and I see the kids. I'm sorry I'm late. Do you know what? Pour 2 glasses of wine. I'm going to put the kids to bed, and I want to hear about your day. That woman, the fight will dissolve out of her, and she will be putty in his hand. You won't have to talk about the sexual relationship. It'll sort itself out. You talk to her like that, and you'll pull the fight right out of her. Because she doesn't want to fight you. She wants to know why you're late. And she could ask it 100 different better ways. But she wants to fix it, and she wants to know why you're late. And actually, if you can take the fight out of it, you're going to have a lovely evening. But if you sit and defend yourself of, well, I was busy and you know what it's like, all you've done, you haven't answered her question. You've explained that you're late, but you haven't asked the question, do you love me? You've got to answer the question that's really being asked. Do you love me? Because if you love me, why do you keep turning up late? Actually, a gentle answer can turn away wrath. Defending yourself will only cause a fight. If you've been a dose, put your hand up and say, do you know what? You imagine hearing those words. Best part of my day is walking through that door. We have 3 minutes. What I'd love you to do, see page 13. I would love to spend longer on this, but we're not going to. If there is a little guide of how to fight well, I talk this through with my daughters. I encourage them. One day they're going to be wise, fabulous young women, and I will come to them for advice, and I will do things wrong, and they need to know how to handle me. Here's 5 ways to handle me. Here's 5 things to say. And I say, I want you to practice this, and I'm going to keep you in a dose until you get it right. I'm going to give you reasons to bring up a confrontation with me until we get this right. Imagine 5 things. Imagine you see number 1, deal with the problem, be specific, don't universalize it, don't use words like never, always, every. Keep it about a behavior, not about the person. So do you remember she was trying to talk to Michael about her day in the hospital? And he just kept fixing the problem. Do you remember that? You know, well, maybe you should go to bed earlier. Maybe you should get the hospital chaplain. What are you talking about, Michael? She's just sharing. She just wants to talk to you, right? How could she talk to him and how could he listen? Let's imagine these 5. How about he said, on Thursday, this is the dishes one, when you didn't do the dishes versus you never do the dishes, you're lazy. Okay? How about you said, on Thursday, when you didn't do the dishes, talk about how did it feel? When you didn't offer to help with the dishes, it felt like I was invisible, or the work I was doing was too trivial to be noticed, so that my struggles weren't important enough to be on your radar. That's what it felt like. Don't say, when you didn't offer to help me with the dishes, I get so angry at you, I just feel worthless, annoyed, frustrated. Do you understand what that is to make me feel like that? Don't attack him. Just say, this is how I feel. Then say the fear of, imagine if that always happened. This is what I'm scared of. The jobs around the house are hard, but I love doing them to help this family flourish. I just don't want to feel alone in it. I never want to resent serving you and the kids this way. Instead of ultimatums. If you don't start doing the dishes, if you don't start doing the dishes, I'll be forced to stop doing them. Then offer a solution. And be understanding of the other person's pressures of life. So imagine saying, I'm not saying I don't want to do the dishes. I really do want to look after my family. And I can only imagine the stress you're under at work, and the last thing I want to do is add to it. It would just mean the world to me when we'd finished eating the evening meal if you could ask me if I need help with anything. Not, from now on, as soon as we finish the meal, I expect you to pull your weight around this house. And then finish with openness. Be aware that you only see things from one perspective. Invite the other person to say, how do you see the things are going on? Now, can you see those 5 steps? That is not an attack. That is, I want to come to a common mind with you, how we flourish together. That's a world of difference. If you go to someone and we bring the problem, not a universalism, not you always do this, you never do this. Here, this happened. This is how it makes me feel. This is what I'm worried is going to happen. How about we do this? What does it feel like from your end? Actually, that's an invitation to solve a problem. That's not an attack. You want to deal with a husband or a wife, walk through those 5 until they become instinctive. But the listener needs to do some work as well. So imagine you're on the receiving end of that. Every time Michael is attacked, can you see he either defends or walks away? Imagine trying to be open and say, okay, I want to have this conversation. Then imagine trying to listen to what is actually said without interpretation. Then try and repeat back, is this what you're saying? And then respond. So let me give you an example. Remember on the sofa where they're going, she's trying to share her day. Imagine she said this. When we were talking last night when I got home, something was niggling me. I want to share it with what it was like being back at work, but it seemed like you didn't want to listen. I think that hurt me. It felt like you didn't understand me. I love you so much. I want to share everything with you. I never want to hold stuff back from you in case I get hurt. I think sharing those little parts of our life together is so important to keep us connected. I never want to feel disconnected from you. I would love it if you would just allow me to talk to you about some of my struggles and support me through them and give me a hug. I know you love me, and maybe I've misunderstood something. What do you think? I don't know if you saw the 5 things in there. That's Sarah saying to Michael, when we're on the sofa, will you just listen? Remember what she did say? Basically said, you're a dose, you never listen, and they had a fight. Now, how does Michael respond? Not like this. When you talk about things you're struggling with, I listen to every word you say and could repeat it back to you, if you like, word for word. Not only that, I take it in, and I think it through, and try to offer you a way to fix the problem. Before I can even explain it to you, you've walked off in a huff accusing me of not listening. Then you say the problem is me. Don't do that. He's repeated back what she said, but with his interpretation of what she said. When you talk about things you're struggling with, I try to give you solutions, but you're not interested in changing things. You just want to despair over your problems. That winds me up. Like, no, Michael, no. No, you're interpreting what she said again. When you talk about things you're struggling with, I try and give you advice. You misinterpret that as I'm not listening to you. No, Michael, no. Just repeat it back without explanation or interpretation. When you talk about things you're struggling with, it feels like I'm not listening. You want my support. You want to share how you're feeling with me, but I end up making you feel hurt. Because of that, sometimes you don't want to talk to me about the things you're going through. You want to know why it's so hard to talk to me. Can you see he has now repeated it back without explanation or interpretation? That's a winner. He has just repeated back without explaining it, without interpreting it, and now they stand a chance at solving it. Imagine if he said, I'm so sorry I made you feel that way. I want you to be able to talk to me. Nothing would make me sadder than to know that you didn't think you could share things with me. I do listen to you. But from what you've just said, I clearly don't always understand you. I thought you wanted to talk about these problems to work out a way to fix them. And when you didn't show interest in fixing them, I got frustrated with you. From what you've said, when you're upset, you aren't first looking for solutions. You're looking for moral support and a shoulder to cry on. I can see that my reactions to your problems end up hurting you rather than supporting you. I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing it up. Then imagine if she said this. Thank you. That helps me to understand you too. I do really want your advice on how to fix problems, just maybe not when I'm so upset. Maybe when I'm a bit more together, I so appreciate your wisdom on how to fix things. Like, wouldn't that be lovely? Folks, that's not rocket science. But that's learning how to speak a different language. And what I would love to finish on before lunch is, this is kind of like drinking from a fire hydrant, do you know what I mean? There's just stuff coming at you. And I guarantee you'll leave here and think, that's interesting, and then it's gone. Please, do a wee bit of homework tonight. And don't say, I'll do it during the week, because you won't, and it'll be gone. If I give you just a little bit of homework. See page 11, we exercise. Pick 3 things you cherish about your spouse. And a memory, sorry, page 17, yeah. And a memory of when you remember that being shown. Maybe they were sensitive. Maybe they were patient. Maybe they were organized. And when do you remember specifically that happening? And just write it in the book, And then sit down and say, sweetheart, 3 things. I love that you're adventurous. And you remember when we went on the holiday and everybody else was scared of jumping off the 10-meter plunge into the lake and you were first in the queue? I love that. I love that you're adventurous. And then let the other person do 3. That's the easy one. Start with that one. Next one, tricky. Flick over, page 18. Try the winsome confrontation. Raise the problem. Say how you feel, say what you're scared of, give a possible solution, and be open. But here's the clincher. Do it for Michael and Sarah first. Otherwise, you're just going to fight. Imagine you're Michael and imagine you're Sarah, and walk through maybe Sarah speaking to Michael about how he handled her when she was struggling with depression, or the pastor and the coffee thing, or the eczema thing, or the sex life thing, or the evening meal. Just try it. And then if you're brave enough, something real that's going on in your marriage. There's something that happened last week I'd like to talk about. And work through the 5 things. And whoever's listening, work through the 4 things. And when we're done, page 19, I'd love you to ask those questions. What's my marriage? What would I love my marriage to be like in 20 years? What's my marriage like today? How do we go from here to there? If you want to reduce that number to 5 years, do. What would I love to be true of my marriage? That it's a little bit better. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but wouldn't it be great if it's better? What's it like today? What would it take for us to go from there to here? Please, 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 please don't leave and think this is interesting stuff. It's no good if it doesn't actually make a difference. If you're up for it, please do a wee bit of homework. We're going to have some lovely food and we'll gather back. Could we do 10-2 to gather back?
Perfect.
Should we pray for the food?
Absolutely.
You go ahead, Gab. I've
I'll
talked.
help you what to do. Thank you, Colin, for a great morning. We look forward to this afternoon.